Get ready to quit the build.
Here we go!
The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno and Nick.
What it do? Welcome to the QTB podcast. We're so glad you could join us. My name is Bruno, and with me as always is my childhood friend and co-host, Nick. I like to call him Bismo Funyuns. How you doing, bro?
Oh, yeah, that was my name from when I was in the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus.
Exactly, and man, I tell you, you were one heck of a clown slash fire breather. I've never seen a fire breathing clown before, but you made it work.
I still have the burns to prove
really
it.
did.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, man, we also have a special guest with us today, our resident beer connoisseur. What do we call him here? Our beer correspondent?
Yes, official beer correspondent. It's Brad.
Official beer correspondent, Brad. How you doing, bud?
Gentlemen, how's it going? Great to be here. Excited for another wonderful episode of the podcast, and appreciate you guys letting me join in.
Yes, man, it is so great to have the QTB crew in on the podcast, and especially so frequently. I'm always excited when Brad's on because we get not only interesting insights, but we also get a look into the world of beer and how that correlates to video games. And believe it or not, there's always some correlation. So we're definitely going to be tackling that later. Before we get started, though, we have a fantastic episode in store. I can't wait to dive in. But today's podcast was sponsored in part by Pierce Unlimited. For marketing media that works in bespoke design to power your business, visit pierceunlimited.com. And thanks to pierceunlimited.com, we're going to be giving away some gaming merch, some enamel pins and stickers once a month, every month, to the people that leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And man, we've already gotten some awesome reviews on there. Nick, are you excited about that? What more could you ask for, really?
I've seen some of this stuff that you're going to be giving away, and it's nostalgia infused. So I'd be all over that. So definitely, just leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It does go a long way towards helping us get noticed. And thanks so much for doing that, Bruno. I'm not going to waste any time here because we have got a nitrous infused episode in terms of gaming news. So much has happened just in the last couple days. And as I said on the last podcast, the timing of the release of that was just before that Nintendo Direct. So we're going to have to go through all of that as well.
This is going to be Fast and Furious, people. Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel all day.
Too Fast, Too Furious. Three Fast, Three Furious? I lost track after three.
Thrice Fast, Thrice Furious.
Yes, exactly.
We're gonna be drifting here in a minute. You never know.
Tokyo drifting all over these.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Well,
Nick?
we got to get there. So the first thing we got to talk about is what happened actually even more recently as of today, as of us recording this podcast, and that is BlizzCon. So of course, this is Blizzard's local, digital only events. Where they had some big reveals to share, and Blizzard has kind of been in the muck with public sentiment lately with some of their less than admirable moves related to the.
Nick, don't you own a phone?
Of course, I own a phone, and I.
Come on, Nick.
I legitimately haven't installed a smartphone game in so long, like that, and that's as a guy that played a lot of smartphone games, like I just uninstalled them all one day. I'm just like, this is not me. But there was some news about that, about Diablo Immortal is that mobile offering. Not a whole lot of details, and I really don't think most people care. They kind of knew to get past that as quickly as possible and get into the stuff we really wanted to talk about. The two big things that were kind of legit reveals. One was in Diablo 4, we got a trailer and some in-depth information about the new class, not the new class, but a new take on an old class from the original Diablo, and that is the Rogue class. We have not seen the Rogue since the original Diablo, and so it's very cool that they are bringing this class back in a big way. And in the trailer and the preview for the gameplay footage, we got to see the many different play styles that you'll be able to carry out as a rogue. Of course, you can be kind of that freewheeling archer that's shooting a million arrows a second into space.
Yeah,
or of course
that looked really cool.
Yeah. Any archer class in this type of game is always a slam dunk. And then they also had the kind of from the shadows stealth, cloak and dagger approach if you want to play your rogue that way as well. So, and that was kind of a big omission, I think, from Diablo 3 was having that stealth style gameplay to really contrast the other in your face, press button to kill things approach that most of the classes ended up adopting. And the only other big one Diablo-wise, and I think this is the one that's worth talking about, is Diablo 2 Resurrected. So we kind of knew for a little while that there was probably going to be something happening with Diablo 2. I know there was the rumor mill was abuzz, but we finally got proper confirmation from Blizzard that it's not only is it coming out in 2021, but we're going to be getting cross save, cross progression. It's going to be PC, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. They're going the whole 9 yards with this puppy.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is what they're including that I'm going to start calling it from now on. This is my original name for it. The button that you can press to switch between retro graphics and modern. I'm going to start calling it the NOS toggle. What do you guys think?
I love it. Brad?
I think that's I dig it. Sorry. Yeah, no, that's I'm with you guys. I was in shock. I had a minute of pause there when you said that. I was processing how great that sounded.
We need to trademark it. We need to trademark it now, Nick. Like the NOS toggle. Yep, the NOS. That's just going to be what it's called from here on out. Because it's creeped up in so many games now. We had it, I think, at least the first in my recollection of at least using it was in the remake of Halo CE.
Yeah.
So Combat Evolved, they redid that, and then you could switch at any point in the game between the original graphics in the game and the updated remastered graphics. And it was awesome. I loved it. It was so cool to like go back and see. It really made you take time as you were going through the level. It almost made me want to like go back and play some of the level that I had already played in both the old graphics and the new graphics. So that's definitely something that they can easily add, especially if they're just if they're remastering a game like that. Like if they're essentially just taking the same one and throwing on a shiny new jacket, like why not add the old stuff in there and give us that option?
Yeah. Brad, have you had any experience with the Diablo series prior to Diablo 3?
Diablo 2 was the last one I did play. So I was reading too, and maybe you can confirm this for us, Nick. I think the remaster comes both with the original base game and the expansion, Lord of Destruction, right?
Yeah, you're going to get both expansions with this one, or rather the original and the expansion, yeah.
Yeah, no. Ooh. So, it's been what, almost 20 years since that came out, and so it's definitely going to be a trip down nostalgia lane, and we're old. And I totally dig what Bruno said about having that kind of almost back and forth of, I almost will play the game twice again, once in the original design and now in the remaster. And what did I miss, or what have they added in the remaster that gives you more context to each part?
Yeah, and I the thing that I hope the most from this, and I kind of got the impression that they learned from their mistakes. The big miss with the last big remaster they did of Warcraft 3 was they got everybody excited about this new version of the game, and then they went and just replaced everybody's original game files that updated through their launcher, so that they literally couldn't play the classic Warcraft 3 anymore. They had to play this reforged version. And man, that upset a lot of people. Vanilla. Yeah, I mean, just they were essentially just removing their history. And it made no sense to people, and still doesn't to this day. And so I think from what I'm getting from this, that like you're saying, Brad, that you're going to be able to go back and play the original version, as it was intended, or also just play this new version that's the same game, but in a kind of a 2.5D style that Diablo is known for with Diablo 3 and later. I'm really excited about this one, especially with the cross progression, because Diablo 2 is kind of a game that I missed out on. And I feel like I definitely missed something big there because, in my college days, I was kind of a, buddy with a lot of the kind of gaming crowd on campus. And I tell you, there was a lot of talk about Diablo 2, and everyone reminiscing and even still playing the game as late as 2005 and beyond. That I definitely realized that, like, okay, there's something here that I never quite got to latch onto, and being able to play Diablo 3, one of the few games that I loved playing, and one of the few games that both me and my wife were able to play co-op and both really get immersed and enjoy the experience, from start to finish, that I am ready for this remaster.
Out of all the remasters that have come out, I definitely think the recent ones of Halo stick out in my mind as being really well done. And then most recently, the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered, which was actually done by Vicarious Visions, who is doing the remaster for Diablo 2.
That's right.
So that has me excited. I know Justin commented on one of the QTB Facebook posts, and he said that he was a little unsure of having a Tony Hawk dev tackle this, but I reminded him that Vicarious Visions is less a Tony Hawk developer and more a remastering studio. And that is an art in and of itself, to be able to look at an old game and say, okay, this is what we need to fix and update, and this is how we can breathe new life into it. And Vicarious Visions did just that with Tony Hawk. Like, it was an amazing game. It paid homage to the original series. It had the same soundtrack, so the whole game felt like it was just brought to life in 2020, and made everything that sucked in 2020 just a little bit better, because we had Superman by what is it, Goldfinger? Yeah. And being able to skate around, that was awesome. So I think they're going to do a great job. Can't wait to see what they're actually going to do with it.
So Bruno, Nick, I got a question for you then. Given that they're tackling the remaster versus Blizzard itself, do you have more faith that the remaster is going to be top notch? Because I was reading that Blizzard, it's a busy time for them to be adding this remaster to their set of activities, because they're also working on that mobile spinoff called Diablo Immortal, and they're also working on the next full-fledged title, Diablo 4. So I was curious if, are we concerned that they've got a lot of Diablo-centric content being generated, and how much time and effort's being focused on the remaster of Diablo 2?
I mean, I'm just ready for the Diablo-themed skate park that's obviously going to be an Easter egg in the game. Right, Vicarious Visions? I know you're listening. Give it to me. I want to pick up a skateboard and then activate like a Christ Air special ability that like wipes out every demon on the screen. That's what I want.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
That really would. That's the best tie-in. That is the best tie-in. He's handed it to you on a silver platter, literally. He's done everything but chew the food for you. So by all means, implement it.
But no, I have while it's not a developer name that I would have expected or even, given you in my top 5 for who I would want to do something like this, seeing the love and care that they put into those remasters for Tony Hawk and their ability to not only respect the past, but also bring it into the modern day with a great soundtrack that kept as many originals as they could get with the soundtrack from 1 and 2, but also bringing in a lot of new songs too that really fit the bill. I think these guys know exactly how to respect the past while also looking to the future with a remaster of a game. What about you, Bruno?
Definitely. I mean, I dug Tony Hawk. I definitely didn't get to like level 100, which is the level cap, I think, in the game, because they did make it very hard in terms of the challenges that they added. Yeah. So it wasn't just like a glossed over game that you didn't get a lot out of. I went ham in the game and unlocked everything as quickly as I could in terms of all the different levels and beating those, but there's still gold medals that I haven't achieved that I can go back and play, but it's exactly like I remembered as a kid, and the graphics are even better. So it's one of those games that I feel like I can pick up at any time, and it just brings back so many memories of me playing on my old tube TV with the N64 controller, and I ended up getting that for PlayStation 2 as well, because because we got to remember the original Tony Hawk came out in this time when it was like for everything. There was like a PlayStation 1 version.
Right.
There was a Nintendo 64
the Game Boy
version.
Color version.
Was there really?
Yeah, there was. It was awful.
Oh my gosh. It probably was. Yeah. How much are you going to get out of that?
Yeah.
But I love the fact that they're taking some of these older games and redoing them and making them better, fixing some of the problems that were in there before, and giving them to a new generation that may not get to play them. And, with less games being pushed forward into, I guess, backwards compatibility territory. Yeah. We're desperate for remasters. So I'm glad that they're starting to do some of this. And I think having a dedicated studio, to your point, Brad, is important because it allows them to focus on it. That's what they do. They, when you can hand off the files to somebody and trust them with what's going on and then just basically get it back and review it, that's a win. So I think they've already proven themselves with Tony Hawk, and no one should worry. I would say it's going to be, if you're a fan of it, it should be a perfect service to you. So
I think your point, Bruno, about Tony Hawk and their work on that remaster may have been the perfect resume, perfect audition tape, right? It gave credence to the fact that they can take a game, honor the nostalgia, honor what it was, but also bring it into 2021.
Well, also speaking of 2021, or rather what's not coming out in 2021, is going to be Overwatch 2. So this is
breaking my heart.
I think it's breaking everyone's hearts, quite frankly. We basically, the information that we got from BlizzCon is that we got some information about like upcoming maps and just kind of some vague, like, here's what you can expect. But certainly no solid gameplay footage, and more of just like, hey, it's, we're working on it and we'll be giving you some more updates, throughout the year. Overwatch 2 is still kind of an enigma in that, it was announced in 2019? Hard to believe.
Yeah.
And besides that intro cinematic, which seems more now like they were just really playing damage control with all the problems that were happening regarding the Hearthstone competitive controversy. No, they would never do that. They would never
try and distract
They're a
us.
saint.
Ooh, look, a piece of candy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. James Woodsum. And, it's essentially what we got was a lot of nothing, in my opinion. And it's disappointing, especially when you look at the fact that Overwatch itself has kind of been neglected this last year. The last hero that was released was Echo, and that was, I think, in April of 2020. So we're coming up on a full year now with no new heroes in a game that, we were getting a hero like every 6 months, maybe even more. Yeah. And so that on top of, not really any new maps outside of like arcade modes, it just seems like whatever effort's been going into Overwatch 2, it doesn't feel like that amount that's been taken from Overwatch 1 has really been worth it from someone that wants to see, both Overwatch 1 and 2 succeed. What do you think?
I wonder what happened to I just wonder what happened to everything with Overwatch. Like, what happened to Overwatch League? Like, I know that because of the pandemic, things had to change, right? And so, but they were already seeing a recess on how many people were playing the game and watching, and they started to fall in that same territory that Halo esports did, where people were coming and going, and there's a new team now, and these people are switching teams in between each game, and it's like, okay, well, can we have a contract longer than a day?
Right.
Here, it was really hard to follow.
Yeah.
And something like that makes me not interested in wanting to keep up with everything because it becomes a chore. It's too hard. Yeah. Do you remember when you stopped getting interested in Overwatch, Brad, or was it just because we started playing more Fortnite, or what was it?
You bring up a lot of good points, Bruno. And so I think it's a combination of, it begs the question about what is truly a game now. We've talked before on the podcast about old games being a release where it's got a campaign with a structured content. You play through it, you have an end to the game, and that's really the by and large of what you get. Today now with DLCs, basically an ever-expanding palette of content, what is the true nature and scope of a game, and when does it end? When does it begin? When does it end? And I think that's where Overwatch 1 is sitting right now. It's gone on now for so long. They've released new content. It also is shooting itself in the foot for what Overwatch 2 should be. You're blending the lines of what is one game versus what's the new game going to be, and how do you say, okay, we're stopping effort on Overwatch 1 and putting it in Overwatch 2, or what is Overwatch 2 going to do to surpass the success we had with Overwatch 1. I really think they're stuck in a hard place, and I think that's why they've just been kind of punting on, the delay or the fact that Overwatch 2 doesn't have anything else to its name except for that, as Nick said, kind of damage control, smoke screen of a little, video, right? So,
what do you add to a game, Nick, to like bring it into Overwatch? To Overwatch 2. So what do you add to Overwatch to make it different? Like, is it solely a campaign? What do you think?
Well, we know that Overwatch 2 is going to be largely a PvE experience. That's the whole point of why they're making an Overwatch 2 in the first place, is it's going to be this kind of, pick your character and you can level them up and play with friends, and kind of a 4-player, I don't know if it's four players, the number I'm looking for, but more of a PvE-centric experience, which is something that the Overwatch community has wanted, those annual events where you could actually, team up and do missions together were some of my favorite memories of Overwatch. But the whole idea is that Overwatch 2 is also going to add a fresh coat of paint to the PvP and kind of bring it into, the next gen, as far as I think they want to do like a big graphics overhaul for Overwatch 2. So it's supposed to be more than one thing. But I have to be fair here. We just don't know what the COVID factor is, and that's true for anybody that's coming out and giving a delay on a game or not producing what you thought they would. Is how much of an impact and how easily has Blizzard been able to adapt to COVID and the need to innovate in ways of working from home, and how that affects a game development studio, especially a big one like Blizzard. It's one of those things that we can sit here and armchair speculate all day, but we just don't know how badly they were hurt. If they had never announced Overwatch 2 in the first place, if it wasn't even a thing, how much more content will we really have gotten for the original Overwatch? And Bruno, it's a shame because Overwatch is supposed to be this timeless thing. They're trying to cement it, because the whole idea of Overwatch League is to create this game that people want to come back to and watch and play year after year after year. And that wasn't made to be a 2-3 year affair. And man, it's so crushing to see what COVID did to that. My team, the Philadelphia Fusion, they, like many teams, announced that they were going to be sending their squad to Korea to play the next season out. So that whole hometown team aspect of it that they were mirroring with the NFL and other big sports franchises that makes people have a reason to back their people. It's so crushing, and I think it just based on the activity I've seen in all of the subreddits that I follow, people just seem to kind of be moving on, and I'm not really sure that we're going to be able to see Overwatch League totally recover, and with it, I'm not really sure that we're going to be able to see Overwatch period recover. I think whenever they finally can get Overwatch 2 out the door, we will probably see kind of a bump back, and hopefully they have the money and the resources and the know-how to get it back into the forefront, because role-based games like that, those are my jams, man. I love that type of game that lets me be the healer, be the tank, be a style of gameplay that may not be totally conventional, that hero style that you normally only see in MOBAs, that Overwatch really helped to bring into the first-person shooter genre in a fun way. All right, well, that's a good point to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with more about the Nintendo Direct right after this.
Nick, it seems like we're really in the golden age of podcasting. These days, you can find a quality podcast for just about any topic you can think of.
That's right, Bruno. And a big reason for that is the convenience and versatility of Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast just like ours.
For sure. Anchor has built-in tools that let you record and edit your podcast from your computer or even your phone. And they even distribute your podcast for you automatically to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more.
And not only is it 100% free with no strings attached, but you can start making money with your podcasts from day one. Literally everything you need for a successful podcast is all waiting for you with Anchor.
Just download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
And we are back, and with no time to spare because, we just spent all that time talking about BlizzCon. But my goodness, guys, Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
And that was like 50 plus minutes of nonstop content, of trailers and reveals. And, it's crazy. The last time we had a Nintendo Direct that was first party compatible was in 2019. It's been that long. And Nintendo they march to the beat of their own drum. You cannot call when these things are going to get revealed. So, we found out about that one, I think, the day before.
Yep.
Or a couple days before. So it's like, man, you just got to hope that your calendar's free if you really want to be there for the live reveal.
Yeah.
And I finally was. So no time to waste. Might as well go right down the list of, kind of all the things. Well, let's start with the third-party offerings, because I think they kind of stole the show, in my opinion, if I were to compare them to Nintendo's first-party offerings. The first big one is Star Wars Hunters. So this is going to be they're saying arena style, but I'm also seeing Battle Royale popping up a lot in articles for the guys from Zynga, which they've mostly been like a mobile or browser game company, but they appear to be having this game coming out, which is going to be right now, as far as I can see, exclusively for the Nintendo Switch.
From the makers of Farmville and Cityville, bring you Words with Friends. From the makers of Words with Friends brings you Star Wars Hunters.
It's like Vicarious Visions doing the Diablo thing. Yeah. It's like such a random. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Give them the license.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Yeah. George Lucas don't care.
More. No, well, technically Zynga is owned by EA, and EA has been working closely with Star Wars and Lucasfilm Games now to create more IP. So it would make sense that they would be in charge of bringing a Star Wars game to the mobile platform like this.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's exciting. There's so much content to pull from, and I think the highlights of the Battlegrounds games is getting to play as those iconic characters, getting to run around as Darth Vader and force choke people off of cliffs, right? Like that's cool as heck. Yeah. So if that's the idea, that's what they're going for, of kind of pick your hero from these iconic, Star Wars characters. I'm ready for that.
Brad,
all day.
Would you play a Star Wars Battle Royale?
In a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Like, that would be to use the Force and win a match using the Force. Like, sign me up. I'm in.
We've already kind of seen a little bit of what a Star Wars Battle Royale might look like with Fortnite. With the crossover event that they did, they had the what was it? The lightsabers in the games and the blasters, and now they have the Mandalorian sniper and jetpack. So I feel like if they take the best parts of the crossover event with Fortnite, and they take the best parts of Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 1, when you got to be the hero and run around as the hero like that, and put that in a battle royale mode, I would be down. I think that would be amazing. I do worry though, because I think to myself, like, they've never really, like I said, these are the makers of Farmville, Cityville, Words with Friends, Chess with Friends. Like, come on now. Like, I understand you've got like a big platform for mobile games and all, but do you have the developer and storyboard panel type?
Yeah.
Do you have the fundamentals to make a lasting battle royale game? Because Fortnite, I mean, I understand the need for another battle royale mobile game with Fortnite still in this limbo area of not being on the iOS store. But what's the sustainability on something like this? And are we going to see it eventually transcend to console if it becomes really big? Brad?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think mobile battle royale is a really interesting topic, and especially with I would say the saga that Fortnite's experienced with not being an iOS. I think maybe this is an opportunity for someone to jump in and grab space in this area that is available, right? And maybe this is a first pull, and Star Wars is it's an over topic, it's an over game, it's an over genre that will naturally grab a large group of followers who will want to try it out regardless of whether it's fantastic or subpar.
Yeah.
And it's immediately going to be it's an IP, it's a landscape game, and this is an available space that can be, I think you can win over folks quickly with content and in a world like Star Wars.
And apparently Nick told me he said that there's still a huge mobile gaming community around PUBG. So apparently people are playing battle royales on their phone. What's up?
PUBG, I'm serious about this. And even after experiencing Fortnite, on mobile, for the time I was able, I still stand by my original statement of PUBG has the best battle royale on mobile. It's not even close.
Wow.
Like if you've not played it, and this is to you guys or any of our listeners, check it out. Like even though I'm not crazy about the PUBG format, the mobile, and it's a different company that I think is running the mobile version. It plays good, like really good. Like the voice, I was playing when it first came out. I was playing it like with voice chat with the friends who had downloaded it, and that was seamless. Without having any headphones on, we could just talk to each other.
Wow.
And it played great. It felt great. I'm pleasantly surprised, to say the least, by that offering. So, but yeah, this is, from what I'm seeing, this is going to be a Nintendo Switch release. That, hey, maybe if it does do well, will come to other platforms as well. But yeah, just a very strange announcement that no one was really expecting. Something that people definitely were expecting, though, is the Fall Guys announcement that we are going to be getting not only a Switch version of the game, but an Xbox version of the game as well. And everybody knew it was just a matter of time until Fall Guys showed up on other consoles. Exactly, yeah. It's such an adorable game. Like, I know I'm gonna buy it at least on Xbox.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that we talked before about how Fall Guys kind of fell from the peak that it had.
Yeah, that's very funny.
Thank you. Yeah. Jokes all around. But I think the tactical error that the guys at Devolver made when they put this game out and made it a PlayStation exclusive, a timed exclusive, was they just didn't have enough faith in how well the game was going to be received. I think if they had known, like, okay, people are going to go crazy nuts over this game, and they got it on the Switch and they got it on Xbox, day one, along with PC and PlayStation, people would have been really talking about it more. I think the game would have had more momentum.
Nicholas, that is a perfect example of how an exclusive title can backfire, or a timed exclusive can backfire on a company, because I think you're right. Think about how popular Fall Guys was, and then the sect of gamers that were excluded, specifically Nintendo Switch and Xbox gamers. And I, for one, wanted to play it. I would have totally jumped on it. I know Brad would have too. Do you remember the hype of Fall Guys, Brad?
I do, and I remember seeing it and people posting clips, and I was like, where can I play this? I want to play this. And I went searching for it, and when I found it was an exclusive, it frustrated me. It was just like, okay, well, fine. Like, I'll just
won't buy it.
I'll just go. I'll go back to something else. And I'm wondering now, like, yes, am I still going to be interested in playing it? But to your point, are there going to be people, Switch and Xbox people, who, for the sake of spite, will be, well, this is...
I don't think people will do it out of spite, but I mean, a fun game is a fun game at the end of the day. I just, like Bruno was saying, I just think that there's, in an alternate universe where that game had come out for every platform, simultaneously, I think that they would be enjoying a lot more financial success, which of course would lead to better content updates. Than where it went. But it is what it is. In hindsight's 2020, none of us can see these things coming, and I don't think they were expecting it to be as big of a hit as it actually was. But there you go. We will be getting the Switch and Xbox versions of those games
as an aside.
This year.
Aside, I think the whole reason why it fell from grace is because Tim the Tatman finally got his win. I mean, after that, there was no reason for me to watch it. For those of you who don't know, twitch.tv/Tim the Tatman, he started playing Fall Guys, and I think the game had been out for like a month. It feels like it had been out for a month, and he hadn't gotten a win yet. This this like full-time streamer that, plays the game 8 hours every day hadn't gotten a win. And so once he got the win, it was just like, why? I don't need to watch it anymore. Like,
right. Yeah, it's over. That was the big thing we were all waiting for. I think even the developers were throwing shade at him on Twitter, the social accounts. Like everybody was memeing it, so that's great. Oh my gosh, so many more games to get through, and I'll just kind of rapid fire read off a few here. Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection is coming out. This is going to be from Capcom. It's a remaster of the original Ghosts and Goblins, which if you were to ask anybody, to name the hardest NES game that they played, it would probably be Battletoads, Ninja Gaiden, or Ghosts and Goblins. This game is tough as nails back then, and this new art style they have looks phenomenal. Can't wait to buy it again. Can't wait to play it again.
And speaking of Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Ninja Gaiden, it's almost like we have the same list in front of us. Ninja Gaiden, the Master Collection, also coming out. It's going to be a collection of Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 and 2 and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, all of three of which are notoriously difficult games. It's a lot of challenge all in one tiny little package. So for anybody that missed those games, great opportunity to replay all three on the Switch. Another one to talk about, Monster Hunter Rise. Yeah. Now, this is an interesting one because, of course, Monster Hunter World was a huge success for Capcom. It was their top-grossing game to date when the original came out. The Palicos are friggin' adorable. And, the reason why it did so well is because it was the first really approachable entry into the Monster Hunter franchise that people could kind of jump in and not feel overwhelmed by. Yeah. It's a largely Japanese franchise that, if you wanted to play, you had to have like a 3DS, and even then, like it was really tough to get into. The learning curve was too steep. And the gameplay was very difficult. Monster Hunter World kind of bridged that over and made it easier for first-timers like myself and you, Bruno, to kind of jump into that and just see what it's all about. Now, Monster Hunter Rise is going to be a Switch-only title. I think the reason for that is that they also released Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which was a port of the 3DS title that they put on the Switch only. And I did actually buy and play that. I'm not going to say I got my money's worth, but it was cool to see that kind of old school Monster Hunter gameplay, and it is tough as nails. It does not care about your feelings, and so I can see, and it sold a lot of copies, so I can see why they wanted to kind of rush out another title. That being said, I am disappointed that we're not seeing a new Monster Hunter for the Xbox and PlayStation. The Iceborne expansion for Monster Hunter World was really good. Maybe they've got something in the works. Who really knows? Also, No More Heroes 3, which is a weird series. If you played the 1 or 2, it is just this. It's almost like if Scott Pilgrim versus the World was on bath salts.
Oh my gosh.
It's so out there with its gameplay style and the way that it looks visually that it's tough to put into words. Also, Knockout City. This is one that we weren't really expecting. Is going to be a new dodgeball game. It's actually from the guys who made. This is all you. Yeah, Mario Kart Home Circuit. That live action one with the real cart. They're making this game, which is going to be all about the dodging, diving, dipping, ducking, and dodging.
Who was on the Globo Gym team there, Brad?
Blade, Laser.
Got him.
Blazer, Fitness Consigliere, Michelle. And from Romanovia, 5-time dodgeball champion, Franz Stanislanovich Venevinovinsky.
Oh, wow. Deadliest woman with a dodgeball. There it is.
If you can't tell, I'm going to be all over Knockout City.
That's right.
You better watch out.
Yeah, EA, listen, if you don't get that dodgeball movie crossover, then you've done it wrong, because that would be amazing. But yeah, and
if those aren't the first two teams, if there's not an average Joe's and a Globo Gym team right out from the start, what are we even doing? Why are we even here?
Yeah.
Like, why?
What was the point of it all?
What was the point?
But yeah, this is an interesting one. Like, it's a dodgeball style game where you can like curve your shots. You can make all these crazy trick shots. And one really cool feature is you can become a ball and have like your teammates like throw you, and then you can kind of like fine tune your aim and like while you're in the air. This thing looks crazy. It's one of those things that you were not expecting. So really excited to see more of that. And the last third-party announcement was Apex Legends is going to be finally getting a port over to the Switch. Not really a whole lot to talk about. If you see the video, it looks bad.
Well, and it's like the Fall Guys thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's a little too late. Like, there's a core group of gamers that are playing it, and I'm sure some people are excited to play it on the go, but for the most part, it's not, going to be groundbreaking to have this on the Switch.
Yeah. So no time to waste, hopping right into the first party reveals. We didn't get any Breath of the Wild 2 news, and while that's disappointing, it's not unsurprising. Nintendo loves to play those big reveal games really close to the vest. The first Breath of the Wild, they've come out before outright and had, these video drops of like, it's not ready yet. Sorry, we can't show you anything. That's fine, Nintendo. Take 1 year, take 5 years. As long as the finished product is amazing, and I know it will be, that I have no problem with seeing absolutely nothing about Breath of the Wild. They will say that they did say we'll be getting more information this year. And as a replacement for that, we got a reveal for Skyward Sword HD, which I guess is because they ran out of Wii U ports to bring over to the Switch. So they said, let's go back to the original Wii and milk that. So now we're getting the Skyward Sword. Excuse me, I gotta cash grab. And look,
God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I'm allergic to shameless cash grabs. And look, the one thing I'll say about Skyward Sword is the reason why a lot of Zelda fans didn't like this game is because, like a lot of original Wii titles, they tried to shove the motion controls down our throats by saying, you gotta swing the sword like a crazy person and like have one muscular arm, because you can only, you're only doing like your other arm is just holding up a shield.
We know why we only have one muscular arm. Let's be honest.
Is it Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for the Nintendo Wii? Of course it is.
I was going to say it was the tennis game in Wii.
Oh, man. Yeah, that got intense. Yeah, probably. So the nice thing about this port that we're getting is that they will remove the need to use motion controls. You can use them if you want to. But the good news is that they are taking away the having to use the motion controls. You can use the right thumbstick to do the sword swings instead. Thank goodness. Even then, like, this is not, so many people wanted to see Ocarina of Time or
the least popular Zelda is getting remade.
Yeah, exactly. or even Majora's Mask. I think people would have gone crazy. Yes, I know the 3DS got a remake of the Ocarina of Time, but it
wasn't a remaster though. It was just a remake.
Okay,
like they made it HD, right? And so that wasn't really like updated. Cool graphics,
and it's for a now defunct console. So it's like, again, I'm not mad. It's just trying to tide us over with the lack of Breath of the Wild 2 news with that. Like, it's okay.
He's like a parent. Yeah. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Splatoon 3, also a big announcement. That was their final announcement. And again, it's not something that I think really any of us can speak to because none of us have played Splatoon, but I know Splatoon 2 especially is a really, really popular title. So many people that I know had a blast playing that game. So I'm sure that the third entry will be just as beloved. Also, Mario Golf Super Rush got a announcement of course, if you're into those kind of generic, here's a sport that you like with Mario slapped on top. I mean, you're a golf game guy, right, Bruno?
Well, I like the sports every now and then, right, Brad? But I feel like because we're not dealing with a professional game and a professional scene, like why don't we have a whole Mario sports game? That would have wowed me, to have like a whole Mario sports. It was just called like Mario Sports, and it had baseball, and it had golf, and it had tennis in there, and it had bowling, like another Wii Sports, but Mario centric Wii, and just called it Mario Sports. Honestly, that I would have been all over. I would have been like, take my money now. I'm definitely getting into that, because that was one of my favorite games from the original Wii, was Wii Sports. And I loved the controls with it, even if they were wonky and you just had to kind of sit on the couch and shake it back and forth. You know, it was still fun. But, you know, Brad, I mean, what do you think? I mean, it's 2021, right? Like, why do we have to divvy up all these sports? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm still a sucker, right? So Mario Golf piqued my interest. I when I saw it, I am a sucker, Nick, for those. I want it, right? It's golf with Mario. So, you know, and by default, just so everyone knows, I always play as Luigi. I never play as Mario. It's just who I am. So, you know, not trying to start a debate there, but you know, but I'm with you, Bruno. I think at this point, it seems like a minor cash grab if you can divvy up the games one by one, or maybe from a development standpoint, golf is an easy one to just slap the Mario scheme over a simplistic game in terms of how it functions. I think other sports may be a little bit more difficult. So yes, in an ideal world, I would love a Mario Sports. I think to have tennis, I remember playing Mario Tennis back a long time ago, and I loved that game. It was so fun to have those characters. Everyone had a little bit different skill set. It was the right combination of the sport versus the characters, and you felt like you could play of who your favorite was, and you could be competitive. And I think a combination game of multiple sports would be fantastic, but I'm still going to be a sucker to get this one.
I mean, they're making them because people are buying them, right? And it's my issue with these types of games. And again, if this is your thing, I mean, I'm not saying that I think it's a must avoid title. It's just, especially after getting burned by Super Mario Party. And the reason why I say this is because this game came out fairly recently. It's a great game. You know, it's got it was a return to form for Nintendo, because Mario Party, I think it was 10 was the last game, was so terrible and just completely went in a different direction from Mario Party's format that people hated it. And so it was good to see him come back. And yet the game only has like 3 or 4 like stages. And like there's a couple extra co-op levels as well for the game boards. And like that's it. There's like a little extras here and there. But the game is very bare bones and made it very difficult to want to support, you know, paying $60 for a full title like that when you know that like any support that you're going to get beyond that is minimal at most. And so it's so hard for me to look at these kinds of games and being like, yeah, I'm going to pay full price for that out of the gate. You know, if that's going to be their mentality for these types of Mario IP games of like, let's just get it out there because people want it and then move on to the next thing. It's just so tough to do. So yeah, I think you're right that something like, you know, just call it Super Mario Sports. People would go crazy for that, of mashing them up. But at this point, they'd be kind of going up against their own personal financial interest of releasing every single one individually and making them cash bucks. Only other things worth noting, Miitopia is coming out, which was a very popular kind of cult classic from the, I think it was the 3DS that came out with that one. It's like this RPG style game where you can make Miis of you and all your friends and then go on like RPG adventures together. It sounds dorky, but it's actually a lot of fun, and nobody was expecting this to get announced, so cool. And then in the meh territory is the last thing, which was actually the first thing they revealed during the Direct, which is that the next Smash fighter is going to be the combo of Pyra and Mithra, who are the same character, as you learn when you're playing through this game, in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And for me, the resident Smash guy, that's going to get a solid meh out of 10. That, you know, we already had a rep from Xenoblade Chronicles. His name is Shulk. And he's a really fun character to play. I like him. But, you know, we have so many anime sword fighters that have representatives in Smash, especially after getting these crazy reveals that just people went nuts for, like Sephiroth, who, to be fair, like he's the anime sword fighter. You know, he gets a free pass because he's awesome. But it's always a shame when you know that these slots are so precious, and everyone still wants to see their fighters. I still think that it's criminal that Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon haven't seen representation yet, or that Rayman or was it Banksy is his name from Fortnite?
Oh, you mean Jonesy.
Yeah, you can't have Banksy in Fortnite. Maybe his graffiti.
Just a shadow comes up and he just that would actually be really cool. I know that like goes against the canon, but if just a different scene was painted and it was like a bomb and it just like dropped on
there you go. All right, Nintendo, you heard it here first. Banksy for Smash. That'd be
Smash,
real weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think you got a better chance of seeing Banksy in Fortnite.
I think we have a better chance of seeing Banksy in real life.
Well, that's just it, right? And when you talk about Fortnite, and that's my thing is that even as someone who's a diehard fan of Smash, it's an absolute coin toss if the next fighter reveal is going to be something that excites me. Whereas every single crossover that Fortnite has had with this Rift, season has just been absolutely wowing me. Speaking of which, of course, you guys know the next big crossover is going to be with Street Fighter.
Hadouken!
Are you kidding me?
Baby.
Are you kidding me? I am so pumped.
Tell them about it, Brad.
Well, I mean, not to say that I called it, but we were talking outside the podcast a while back about how many crossovers there have been, particularly in the season, and what's really left. Has Fortnite maxed out the crossover concept?
Yeah.
What is left to bring in? And I did happen to mention that a Street Fighter crossover would be awesome because a Guile skin for me personally would be, he's one of my favorite characters from the game, would just be to have that skin and a Sonic Boom emote. I'm done. I take my money now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think so far it's just it's Ken and Ryu and Chun-Li, right? Are the two fighters. So I mean, and usually whatever skins they're gonna have are the ones that they announce. So that'd be a shame. And you know what, Brad? The one thing that if we're gonna have some emotes, obviously we got to have the Hadouken, maybe the Shoryuken. But what no one is talking about is we've got to have a dance with Guile's theme. Da 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 da.
Yes.
Because as you know, everything goes with Guile's theme. I love that video where when that meme first came out of the guys eating the KFC chicken and just dancing around and Guile's theme just pumping.
Yeah.
Boom, ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-da. Yeah.
I'm telling you, maybe this is a first go and just see the interest, but I would fully suspect there's going to be a handful more Street Fighter skins. They have to.
They're printing money.
That.
They're printing money. Don't not do it. It's just that simple. Yeah. To put out more. Yeah.
Well, and with Guile's background and his military background as a character, I mean, it just he seems like a perfect candidate for a Fortnite skin, right? I just don't see why they wouldn't. He must be in the mix. But I think from a visibility standpoint, the two that they selected to go with first, they kind of represent when you think of the game. You see those in your mind, right?
Can we just appreciate the absurdity of Ryu holding a heavy sniper doming somebody from across the map? The seasoned fighter that can throw Hadoukens, and then
he stands up and emotes and does the floss.
Yeah, exactly. Does the L dance? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm having him do Gangnam Style. You have no
Obviously.
question.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the other thing, what, so that's my real question is, love it or hate it. And some people, I think, hate on Fortnite just to hate on Fortnite. But I feel like if you embrace it, they're trying to reach every gamer out there. They've got Master Chief for the Xbox fans. They've got Kratos for the PlayStation fans. I mean, obviously, we're never going to see Mario up there with a gun in his hand. It's not going to happen. But as funny as it would be, oh, mamma mia!
Yeah.
It would be hilarious. But we're seeing all these different crossovers. I did a whole article on some of the rarest licensed skins in Fortnite on quitthebuild.com, and just the amount of different things that they've pulled from Ghostbusters, Star Wars, Tron now, and now Street Fighter. I wonder, they have to keep going with this licensed content. There's no way, like, they can't just all of a sudden stop and be like, they're gonna be the Funko Pop of video games. Like, oh, we're seeing the Flintstones now. Like,
I mean, the question at this point with Fortnite is not whether or not like the game is trying to put out something that you like. It obviously is. The question is just, do you enjoy the gameplay of Fortnite?
Yeah.
And that's something that some people struggle to get over. Like, I like the Battle Royale, I don't like the building, or whatever it may be. It's too cartoonish for your taste. But at this point, like, if there's not a franchise in Fortnite that's crossed over that you don't like, you just don't like things, or you're just trying to be contrarian to Fortnite, right? So, and in a way, it's kind of like beer, because, beer has something for everybody. And wait a second, beer?
What?
Wait.
What's Brad drinking?
I know someone who's into beer. Brad, I got to tell you something, man. Your article on our website, quitthebuild.com, on our blog about the 6 video game inspired beers has just blown up. I mean, it's by far our most viewed article on the site. And you did a great job with it, of just kind of recapping some of these beers. Tell us more about them.
Well, thanks, Nick. I appreciate the segue. It's another media where, kind of like Fortnite, it's an opportunity for these breweries to kind of bridge two things that I think for most people everyone loves: gaming and beer. And when you can merge the two in a way that it brings together an atmosphere and an environment that it's just. You love it, right? Yeah. And so, I think the first episode I was on with you guys, I talked about the one from Humble Sea, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I mean, classic, iconic character in gaming, and a classic, iconic beer style in beer in an IPA. IPA really sets the bar. When people go to a bar, you go to a brewery, you see that a third of the menu are IPAs, because it's such a well-established style of beer. So to have two iconic things, an iconic beer and an iconic character merge, you can't beat it, right? And even more so, I mean, if I encourage everyone here listening to go to quitthebuild.com and check out the article. But we had another classic iconic character, Mega Man, with another IPA, and it was called Megamo from a brewery. And you see the inference and the stylistic design of these cans.
He's shooting little hops.
He did little tiny hops.
Little tiny hops.
I mean, just to see the creativity that these games bring to you as a person, whether you're in a brewery or you're just a designer or an individual, you see that crossover work so well together. And maybe one other one from that article that I think really stands out to me is just the Beers of War, right? I think another major platform
name.
for...
What a great name. That is the perfect punny name, Beers of War.
Yeah. You change 2 letters and you got a beer name, right? I mean, so...
It's awesome.
And so, I really encourage everyone who's listening to go check out that article. And a good reason why these are really popping up now more so is across the country, different cities do what they call beer weeks, right? Yeah. So right now here, for those who live in the Bay Area, they know it's San Francisco Beer Week.
Right.
And it's a great time for breweries to put out these themed or special release beers that really are meant to kind of celebrate where they've come and really give their followers something unique to experience that they don't get the rest of the year. And I think, I've got one to share with you guys today that I think will kind of blow your socks off.
What do you got?
So I'll preface it with this. What do you guys consider the gold standard or the holy grail of video games for you?
Well, for me, I think I always look forward to the Halo series. So that's my holy grail. But if you're talking like holy grail gold standard of what is and will always be like leading the way, I think that's definitely Fortnite in terms of battle royale and cosmetics, like just like we were talking about. There's no other like battle royale game that really is doing what Fortnite is doing with these huge events and these amazing crossovers and things that you'd never see. Nick, what do you think?
I mean, obviously the quintessential video game experience is the Leisure Suit Larry franchise, both for its witty dialogue and action-packed gameplay, and
that's a classic.
I mean, yeah, that's right. But no, really,
where's the remaster of that?
Yeah. No. Cancel culture will not allow. No. That's no shot. And I kid. You know, it's. I think you're right, Bruno. It's like we've been saying many times on the show. Love it or hate it, you can't deny the impact it's had on games. You know, as much as I grew up with classic platformers and that kind of thing, and I could point to any one of them and say that's the game for me. You know, Fortnite is kind of the gold standard of a modern successful video game that's, you know, basically spanned generations at this point.
And to echo that, you know, they really brought, I think, the concept of battle royale to the masses.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a great segue. I'm going to feature the beer I'm talking and drinking tonight is a special annual release each year by our folks at Russian River Brewing out in Santa Rosa, California. And for those who don't know, I think hopefully a lot of our listeners know of this. Each year they release their triple IPA known as Pliny the Younger.
Wow.
And why this is such a big deal is they were kind of the first to create this event, this annual event where each year for 2 weeks in February, they only release this beer at this time. And it's an opportunity where it's a higher alcohol content IPA.
Yeah.
It's at 10.25%. That's why it's called a triple. Yep. It's much higher, and it just has a ton of hop flavor compared to a basic IPA. But it really now has set the bar for not only a annual beer event, but other breweries now are following suit in releasing their own versions of triple IPAs during the same time frame.
And you said Pliny the Younger was actually... it's been considered world renowned. Like, this is the best beer in the world. It's won titles like that, right?
I would say it's in the top 3. If you go to any reputable beer rating, Beer Advocate, Untapped, hashtag, if you guys want to, sponsor us, no fault here. But any of those that rate beers, you'll find that Pliny the Younger is rated 100. It's one of the most highly rated beers. And to the point, folks across the globe will flock to Santa Rosa, California during early February to seek and find this beer because it's typically only served at the brewery.
Wow.
And I did some research and facts checking for us here on the podcast.
Ooh,
it
sexy.
Brought over $5 million in revenue to the city of Santa Rosa in 2020.
Wow.
Jeez. Wow.
From tourism and folks staying at the hotels, eating at the local restaurants, just to come and try this beer.
Scoring 100. You might say that's a perfect pour.
Wow.
Okay, bye.
So I'll preface with this. With the pandemic, as we've talked about today, about how it's changed ability for developers to deliver content in the gaming sphere, it's also changed the way breweries are able to distribute and get their beer out to their consumers.
Yeah.
And so with a beer that's typically released as a brewery-only in-person beer, they almost didn't do it this year.
Oh.
And so they decided to say, we're going to still brew it. We're going to make it happen in a pandemic environment. We're going to release it online only. And as you both know, when we talked on a previous episode, bots rule the internet and can ruin any type of online release.
What? They're ruining beer too.
The bots got the beer?
But
this really is Skynet.
Your boy beat the bots this year and got through.
Yeah. Brad beat the bots and got the beer.
They only had 6,000 cases of this beer produced. And at the time of release, I read that they had over 120,000 unique visitors trying to buy this beer on their website.
Jeez.
Wow.
And luckily for me, I had the quick finger, the quick click, and I got through, and I was able to get a case ordered myself. And I am fortunate to be sitting here with you guys, gents, tonight, drinking this beer. And it really, no other brewery, to my knowledge, and what I've been able to try myself, has been able to deliver on this style in the way that they do. They really have the corner on the market on this beer, and everyone's trying to replicate what they've produced. And I really think that crosses back over to our talk about what, hate it or love it, Fortnite has something that people are trying to replicate. And
100%.
And as much as you don't want to emulate it, as much as you don't want to copy it, you know that your fans, you know that the people out in that industry want something in your style, in your branding, that would be representative of that. And I have to give Russian River their due. They've set the bar world class on this beer, Pliny the Younger, a triple IPA, that breweries still today are trying to emulate and reproduce, and unfortunately are far behind. So fantastic beer. I recommend. We'll put a little something up, I think, maybe on the website to feature what this beer is. And if any of you have an opportunity in future years to get your hands on it, I highly recommend. It's worth a try. And it really kind of equates to the Fortnite of setting the bar of what you continually come back season after season, year after year for, because it always excites you. It always brings you that excitement when you're having it.
Man, I swear, every time Brad's on, I learn something new about the beer world. Like I told you, I'm just, it excites me, and we can always deliver it back to video games. So how about that? What an episode we had, Nick.
Jam-packed with information.
I mean, we just breezed through this. We had hit after hit. I mean, I don't know how you're going to come up with a title and a description for this, because this is going to be crazy. I can't wait to read it.
Games and Beer. That's the title.
Games and Beer.
But yeah, great episode, Brad. Thanks as always for coming on the show. You're definitely a crowd favorite. And we'll definitely have to have you back on again sometime, man.
Hopefully someday I'll be reporting live from a brewery, and we can do it. I'll be a field reporter for you guys.
Well, oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Like we've been saying,
to our beer correspondent.
Yep. That's your job title, man. You can print that business card, because it's gonna stick.
Oh, you know what? It's not the worst job I've had, so I'm on board.
Awesome. Well, make sure everybody, again, check out the website, quitthebuild.com. And thanks so much for tuning in. Bruno, you got anything else for him?
I mean, I always stay beautiful, and just, keep on keeping on, as they say on those trucker hats, at Sheets and all the other places that sell trucker hats out there. So,
Flying J's.
Flying J's, and just everything. So I'm telling you, we have got some new branding coming up on this next episode. So I'm excited for everyone to see it. I can't wait to unveil it. Be sure to go out there and get your swag. Get your swag, which is the squad swag. That's what swag stands for. It's squad swag. Yep. See how I flipped that? Spin team.
Woo! Yeah, spin team.
Yeah. Go to our community page. That's quitthebuild.com/community and join Team QTB. Grab yourself an awesome t-shirt, or just follow us on all the socials that we have. We are available everywhere where podcasts are heard, and you can always hear each episode of our podcast first on quitthebuild.com/podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. It has been a pleasure. I have always enjoyed the conversation, especially with these two guys. For Nick and Brad, I'm Bruno.
And for Bruno and Brad, I'm Nick.
Peace out. What it do?
Woohoo! Here we go.